Alright guys, Corey from Off-Road Everything. Got a couple comments here recently about my Lifetime kayak. Wanted to do a short little video on how I did that, just to kind of emphasize on the specifics of what I actually did with the transom, how I mounted it, and I'll even go through just a little bit of stuff with the brake cable stuff so you guys know what that was. So we'll get at it. So all you guys are asking, Lifetime Yukon 116. It's kind of bare bones. Last time I've used it was when me and my wife just went for a kayak ride. She used this one while I was in my old town. First time in a kayak, she didn't mind it. I do have the seat raised 4 inches or so, 3.5 inches, you can see right there in the back. I have 2-inch spacers up front. See right there, that is just Tyvek decking stacked on top of each other, sealed with coarse screws. This is my mount, same thing, Tyvek decking, PVC plastic to put the adjusters on for the brake cables, custom collar. I got the collar, drilled and tapped the screws in the sides, and they're literally just screws in the sides to hold the cables in place, so when you turn it, it pulls and pushes, brake cables, these are actually electrical butt connectors that make nice encasement for the end of the connector so the wires doesn't fray out. They didn't like being inside these. These are 1/4-20 Allen head standard shoulder screws. I've actually drilled them out on my lathe and made them hollow. And then the hex itself actually acts as a nice seat for the butt connectors. Just have some electrical loom running down the side. Do have it screwed into the kayak, but those are all sealed with silicone. And then it runs up to here. Again, another piece of a plastic just to hold the adjusters, cables, same collar, same process with the mount. Now as I was coming to the back of the kayak, you guys probably see this nice little ugly detail right here. So I have a Dremel Multimax oscillating saw, and I just cut the smallest, finest blade that I have, cut the square out to access to put the 1/4-20 bolts on down through. Inside there's big wide washers and then nylock nuts so they don't come loose. The problem that I had is I put on a normal rubber grommet mount that you would use to mount a trolling motor to a fiberglass or aluminum boat. So here's the little rubber grommets that I was using before. You drill a 1/2-inch hole, you set them flush. If there's a gap in between them, it'll actually pull the nutsert right up through. So when I was using this, I didn't have the confidence that it was going to hold. And if you're sitting there and the motor falls off here, that's a problem. I hadn't had that happen, but moving the kayak around with the battery and the motor in the back, I've actually had the transom pull off and the whole handle and everything come off and just pulled right out of the kayak. So I don't recommend using these. I'm not recommending that you cut a hole in your hull, but that's what we did. There's a little shoulder that this sits on. And again, you can see that this is Tyvek decking, and it's just formed like this, and I just use cardboard to form it all the way around. And then I just took deck screws, ran them up through the bottom, and on the angle, as you can see, the angle just fits. I just fed it up to find my angle that I cut this board right here. And then, so the variations that I did is I got rid of the rubber grommets. I did bolt it straight in. It was something that I fought with so I didn't cut a hole in the hull. This is over a year old, so it is the backup kayak. I'm the fattest guy that gets in it, so that's not really that big of a deal. So the trolling motor just mounts as normal. As you can see where I have it mounted here. Now, with my daughter in here at 130 some pounds, I do place the battery back here to put more weight to get this lower in the water. And I do have one more notch right here, if you can see it, that I can actually drop the motor back a little bit more, but it planes the boat out really good. And with her in it, with my wife in it at 150 pounds or something like that, it'll actually run over 5 miles an hour with those guys in it. With me in it, it only does 4.5, but I put a lot of pressure on it at weighing T15, so it makes it a little bit different. And usually when I'm in it, it's full of gear. So it's got all my fishing tackle in it, all my rods, an anchor, all of that good stuff. One of the other mods that I've kind of mentioned on Facebook, a lot of people on the Lifetime Facebook page talk about the rubber wheel or the plastic wheel that they put back here. This is actually a caster that I got from Harbor Freight. I took it off. I did have to grind it down just to where it fits. The biggest thing with the plastic wheels is gravel can get in between the grooves, and as you're pulling it, it'll lock it up, and then you'll put a flat spot in it or whatever. And it doesn't like mud, but it doesn't like mud regardless of what wheel you put on there. You need to keep that clean. That's really about it. So I don't know what other questions or follow-ups you guys would like to have. You can put them in the comments below. I'll add them. Up and coming videos is I went bait fishing the other day with my fly rod to catch some bluegill, some sunfish. It wasn't very successful as far as catching the bait, but the first time I hand tied a jig and then went straight to the creek and caught fish, a little satisfying. So that video will be put out next, probably directly after this one. Do have a catfish tournament on Saturday, looking for that big 30-pounder to put in the kayak, hoping that I can get some videos. Catfishing always happens at night, so still working on the lighting in Old Town to find out really what we can do. So if you like this video, subscribe. There'll be more to come. Kind of the plan later, and possibly in the spring, is going to a Old Town 120 pedal drive, and possibly putting a foot control or even maybe a spot lock in the pedal drive instead of buying the spot lock model Old Town. So we'll have to see what happens there. But until next time, guys, we'll see ya.